if I let myself get upset, that means that later on, I'm not going to go to the crew bar, I'm going to go to bed. Which is probably a sensible decision, but I want to go to the crew bar. Hey sailors, welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy, and today I'm going to be going through 5 life skills that I learned whilst working on cruise ships. But before we start, please press like and subscribe for more cruise ship content. And also, if you have any video suggestions or questions, you can DM me over on Instagram at Cruising as Crew, or you can leave them in the comments down below. Or you can visit my website, Cruising as Crew, and send me an email. But as for now, let's get into the video. The first life skill that I learned working on cruise ships is how to be alone. And not just how to be alone, how to be okay and actually enjoy being alone. When you first go on a cruise ship, it is like the scariest thing ever. Like, you're leaving your home to live on a boat. You're probably going to fly to a different country alone. For me, I actually started cruise ships when I was really young. My first ship was in Australia. So I flew from England to Australia to join my first ship. And that was the first flight I had ever been on without my parents. And it was 24 hours. I feel like a lot of people are not okay being alone. But that comes from it's like anything. You've got to face your fear. You've got to be alone to get over your fear of being alone. And cruise ships really do that. When you first join a cruise ship, you don't have any friends. You don't have anyone on there that you know, or very few people do. And yes, obviously you make friends when you're on board, but as I said in a previous video, you build a life on board a cruise ship, but after 6 months or whenever your contract is finished, that life that you've built kind of just goes in the bin. Obviously it goes in your memory box, but it goes in the bin, because even if you go on the same cruise ship, it's going to be a whole different load of people. So you're never going to be able to live exactly the same experience again. And because you're constantly having to start again, you get used to being alone. You get really good at it. And it is a life skill because I can rely on myself. That is something I've probably taken for granted in the past, but during 2020, the whole COVID-19 thing, I've learned what a skill it is to just be okay by yourself and actually enjoy being by yourself. The second skill is time management. I mean, living on a cruise ship is all about time management. You have to manage your time when you get off the ship on your day off, because you have to be back on board for when the ship leaves. Obviously, when you're at work, you have to go on your breaks at the right time. If you don't go on your break when you're supposed to go on your break, you're not gonna get a break. You have to be effective with your time. You know, if you have things you need to do, but you only have 2 hours off to do it in, you've got to learn how to fit everything in 2 hours or however long. I made a video going through things that I find hard about working on a cruise ship, and one of them was you never switch off because you're constantly looking at the clock. And that does make it hard because it's exhausting, but from doing that came a life skill of time management. And I feel like most people that work on cruise ships are extremely competent at managing their time effectively, getting shit done. If I want to just scroll through Instagram, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to set 15 minutes where I can just literally sit and scroll through Instagram, and then I have an hour and a half left of a break or whatever to do X, Y, and Z. So whereas at home it's very easy to open up Instagram and before you know it 3 hours have passed and you've just been ogling these Insta models and actually done nothing worthwhile. When you need to employ it, you definitely can. And it's a really good skill to have, and I'm really glad that I have it, and I think I have it because I've worked on cruise ships. Energy preservation. What we put our energy into, we don't always consider it a choice. If a passenger comes up to me when I'm on a ship and screams at me in the face because they're having a really bad day, the weather's shit, and they're just really nasty and aggressive, I can choose to let that bother me for the rest of the day, or I can simply be like, okay, she's having a bad day, and just, you know, let it roll. What is it? Like water off a duck's back. Now, I didn't always look at this as a choice. I would have let a passenger yelling at me upset me for probably a week. But I have now learned that actually it is a choice. And energy is kind of like money. It's a currency, and you can choose what you spend it on. I don't want to spend all my energy being upset about that girl who's bitching about me. I would prefer to spend my energy on making a video or actually doing something that's going to benefit my life. And going back to time management and like not having much time on a cruise ship and I think, you know, being efficient is learning what to put your energy into, learning how to, you know, use your time. And I also want to be efficient with my energy. Like, I don't have endless amounts of energy. I will spend it all eventually. So I'm not gonna spend any energy on things that don't serve me, because it does have a consequence. Like, okay, if I let the fact that this passenger screamed in my face upset me, that's gonna eat away at all the energy I have, and then I'm not gonna have any energy left to call my mom later. And sometimes I do have to think like that. Like, I'll feel myself getting upset, and then I'll be like, right, if I let myself get upset, that means that later on I'm not gonna go to the crew bar, I'm gonna go to bed. Which is probably a sensible decision, but I want to go to the crew bar. So I'm not going to let myself get upset, because that's going to mean that I will miss out on that. I'm not 19 anymore. I do have a limited amount of energy and I need to spend it wisely. So that is a life skill that the cruise ships have taught me. Number 4 is how to form a diplomatic opinion without offending anyone. How to be straightforward without being rude. Some people absolutely pride themselves on being straightforward. I'm straightforward, I'm black and white, I'm to the point, there's no bullshit, you know where you stand. And yes, great, but you're also an ass. Yes, you're straightforward and we know where we stand, but you're also hurting people's feelings left, right and centre. But then on the other hand, you don't want to be someone who doesn't say anything, because then you're a wet blanket. So like with most things, the bliss point is somewhere in the middle. Being able to get your point across, but also preserve the other person's feeling. There are so many different nationalities on board that something that one person might find offensive, another person wouldn't. Like, I'm going to make a generalization here, but you can be a lot more straightforward with a Jamaican person or a Russian person than you can be with a Japanese person or an Indian person. Some people can take it better than others, but generally speaking. So you have to know who your audience is. And the thing I've learned, like, if you're trying to get a point across and you hurt someone's feelings in the process, they're going to be a lot more concerned with their bruised ego and their hurt feelings than the point that you were actually trying to make. So it's actually a lot more effective, and you will get better results if you are able to be diplomatic about it. If they're not worrying about their hurt feelings, they're going to be focused on the point that you're making, and there's a higher percentage that they're going to do something about it. And the way to make a diplomatic opinion is empathy and making a lot of I feel statements. Like, if you go in and you're like, you're this, you're that, you're doing this, and it's really pissing me off, of course they're going to get defensive. Like, who wouldn't? But if you're like, sit them down, you've got good body language, you're not coming at them in like an aggressive way, and you're just like, look, I understand why you're doing X, Y and Z, but it makes me feel X, Y and Z. So I would really appreciate it if you could stop doing X, Y and Z. It's literally as simple as that. You're straightforward, you're getting your point across, but you're not offending anyone. And in another video I said that something that I found really hard was setting boundaries, because I was a people pleaser, I had no self-esteem, I didn't want to upset anyone, so I would never say anything. I was the wet blanket. And it was really hard to build the confidence to be able to do that, to be able to say, like, you're really annoying me and I need you to stop. It is something that I have overcome. So now I am able to be very straightforward, but I'm not offensive. The last life skill that cruise ships have taught me is how to be honest. Now, I wasn't some like pathological liar before I worked on cruise ships, but we've all been in a situation where, you know, maybe your friend's like, oh, do you want to go to the bar tonight? Or do you want to go for a walk? And you don't want to offend them. So you come up with this elaborate lie as to why you can't go. I can't because I'm actually walking my friend's rabbit then. With maybe not as bad as that, but you know what I mean. We've all come up with some bullshit excuse as to why we can't do X, Y, and Z. On a cruise ship, you can't do that because you're obviously living in a very contained environment. Everyone knows everything. If you lie about anything, people are going to know and you are going to look like a moron. So you have to tell the truth. Like, Someone asks you, hey, do you want to come to Crew Bar? No, I don't. I'm tired. Hey, do you want to go out in port today? No, I don't. I'm tired. I'm always tired. Anyway, but you get the point. Like, it's taught me to have the confidence to just be honest and know that actually it's not going to offend anyone. And if it does offend someone, that's their problem. And that has passed over to my life on land. I'm not going to come up with some elaborate excuse as to why I can't do X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm not going to justify it. I just don't want to do it. And whether that's because I'm tired or I have something else on, I'm just going to be honest with you. As we all know, it's exhausting when you're making excuses as to why you can't do certain things. It's so much easier to tell the truth and just say no. And then you don't feel guilty because you've been honest. So yeah, those are my 5 skills that I've learned from working on cruise ships. How to be alone, time management, energy preservation, how to form a diplomatic opinion, and how to be honest. But anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, then please press like and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. If you have any questions or video suggestions, you can leave them down in the comments, which would be great. DM me over on Instagram at Cruising as Crew, or you can go to my website and send me an email, and all the links are down below. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye!